bukas sa inyong lahat mga katinig at muli nating susuriin ang isang napakainit na eksena na naganap sa loob ng mababang kapulungan kung saan muling napatunayan ang galing at talas ng ating pambato na si Congressman Rufus Rodriguez. Hindi nakaporma at tila napahiya ang ating tinaguriang pastor na si Congressman Benny Abante matapos siyang diretsahang butatahin at paalalahanan ni Kong Rufus tungkol sa mga legal na aspeto ng ating batas. Kitang-kita sa mga huling kaganapan na habang pilit na isinusulong ni Abante ang kanyang mga personal na opinyon at interpretasyon ay hinarap siya ng isang pader ng karunungan sa batas ni Rufus Rodriguez na isang bihasang abogado at dating dekano ng kolehiyo ng abogasya. Binigyang diin ni Rufus na sa loob ng Kongreso at sa paggawa ng mga batas ay hindi sapat ang mabulaklak na salita o ang pagiging pastor kundi kailangan ng malalim na pundasyon sa konstitusyon at jurisprudence ng Pilipinas. Ang matindi at diretsahang pahayag ni Rufus na hindi abogado si Abante at dapat itong makinig sa mga eksperto ay tila isang malamig na tubig na ibinuhos sa nagbabagang hirit ng pastor na nag-iwan sa kanya na tila hindi makasagot at shut up na lamang sa harap ng komite. Marami ang humanga sa paninindigan ni Kong Rufus dahil ipinakita niya na ang paggawa ng batas ay hindi isang laro o entablado para sa sermon kundi isang seryosong proseso na nangangailangan ng legal na kredibilidad. Sa bawat hirit ni Abante ay may katapat na matinding supalpal si Rufus na nagpapatunay na pagdating sa usaping legal at technical ay walang puwang ang mga argumentong walang matibay na basehan. Ang pagkakataong ito ay nagsilbing aral na sa loob ng plenaryo ay kailangang dumaan sa butas ng karayom ang bawat suhestyon lalo na kung ito ay babangga sa mga itinakdang alituntunin ng ating bansa. Habang sinusubukan ni Abante na ipasok ang kanyang mga punto ay nanatiling kalmado, pero mapang-atake si Rufus na siyang nagpatahimik sa buong silid at nagpakita kung sino ang tunay na may hawak ng katotohanan at kaalaman sa batas. Kaya naman mga katinig, ano ang inyong masasabi sa naging matinding butata na ito ni Kong Rufus kay Pastor Abante? Karapat-dapat ba na paalalahanan ng ating mga mambabatas tungkol sa kanilang mga limitasyon pagdating sa legal na usapin? Ikomento na ang inyong mga matitinding saloobin at huwag kalimutang i-share ang videong ito para mas marami pa ang makaalam sa tunay na nangyayari sa loob ng ating gobyerno.
Next is the Honorable Rodriguez.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. With due respect to our new Deputy Minority Leader, she tried to explain Article 5, which has zero recital of facts. When I explain wealth, sale and violation, back records, and financial forensics by going to the statement of facts. And that's she's right, that we can cite that. However, what does paragraph 76 state? Are these recital of facts? I will read, Madam Chair, and it is for all of us to determine whether this is a recital of ultimate facts constituting the offense. It says here, public records and investigative leads indicate existence of bank accounts. What are these public records? What are these investigative leads? You know, Madam Chair, you can see here, the fourth impeachment complaint is really a big volume of annexes. There is no annex on this particular, what are the public records? Nothing. See? What are the investigative leads? There has to be statements. You cannot just say, for example, that there is draft and corruption without also stating the ultimate facts constituting that. You cannot just say, malversation. You cannot do that. There has to be a statement of facts. Now, you say public records. What are these public records? To give us an indication that there's a crime has been committed, that a impeachable offense has been committed. Nothing. And then it says other financial movements. Very vague. Other financial movements. There are a lot of financial movements. In the stock exchange, in the trade and commerce of people. So, what are these financial movements? And they say that are disproportionate to respondents' salary, lawful income and not fully reflected in their salary. Which salary? 2022? 2023? 24? 25? No statement here. It's a general blanket statement. These are not recital of facts. So therefore, paragraph 76 does not support Article 5. So once again, there is absolutely that's only insufficient, nothing, no substance in Article 4. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Which bank records? Because we are here, ultimate facts. Which bank account, which bank record are we talking about here, if it's stated here? Because I have read this thoroughly 3 times already, and I did not see any.
Madam Chair,
Yeah, maybe us first, our endorser, because we have to have ultimate facts. When you say bank records, then you have a duly authenticated bank statement given by the bank.
With
that
all,
this is-
with all due respect to the Honorable Rodriguez,
Yes, ma'am.
let us all be reminded of the bank secrecy law. While the bank account is significant, I think we are not in the position to expect the complainants to provide specific details of these accounts in view of the bank secrecy law. And we all understand that impeachment proceeding is the only avenue by which the complainants may be able to look into this and perhaps avail of the documents necessary to support this specific ground. That is for the record. The honorable endorsers are recognized to respond to the Honorable Rodriguez.
Therefore, the need for forensic financial review, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Let's go back to the justice member who raised this question. The Honorable Poe is again recognized.
So continuing on that point and manifestation, since there are no documents or bank records that could be cited, was there maybe any sworn testimony, public disclosures, audit findings, financial statements, or comparative SALN data over the years that may have been used as the basis for this ground?
The Honorable Poe is asking about the specific documents or evidence in support of the fifth ground of the fourth impeachment complaint. That is in view of the bank secrecy law. What therefore are the evidence so far attached or considered in support of the fifth ground of the fourth impeachment complaint?
Madam Chair, it would not be automatic for us to be able to tell those banks no because of the bank secrecy law. That's the reason why itong pinag-uusapan natin, yung impeachment complaint na ito, lalabas po ito sa trial. We are not yet in the trial. We are just talking about the sufficiency of substance dito. Meron bang sufficiency of substance na pinag-uusapan natin? Meron. But in everything in this, I would like to tell our colleagues here, no, na this will all come out in the trial, in the impeachment court. You see? Yun po ang nais kong sabihin sa lahat.
The Honorable Rodriguez.
In answer to my good chairman, the Committee on Human Rights, there has to be a recital of facts. And in a recital of facts, there must be a reference to testimonies about bank accounts, if you cannot get the bank accounts. In other words, there has to be a nexus of the statement about irregularity in SALN and bank records by having itself the bank records, the SALNs. And so therefore, it is totally devoid of any particular recital of facts, because that is what we need. We cannot go further if there's no recital of facts constituting the offense charge. Because in fact, the statement of Honorable Brian Poe that there is a requirement in the Constitution of SALN, whatever it is not in the sixth. To construe the constitutional provisions, you are very much limited to the enumeration. Use them generis. If it's not in the it's not in the enumeration, it cannot be a ground. So again, culpable violation of the Constitution. Second, treason. Third, bribery. Fourth, graft and corruption. Other high crimes, better public trust. No statement about having an inaccurate or untruthful SALNs as a ground for impeachment. So that is what we have. We have to therefore have that. So just to be able to respond to the statement that there is a violation of the Constitution that is culpable. It is not, Madam Chair. In fact, those in the SALN can even be able to reform and refile a corrected one, Madam Chair.
Madam
The
Chair.
Honorable Defensor,
Madam Chair.
and
Thank
then
you.
the Honorable Abante.
Thank you. Madam Chairman, the most democratic way to settle this, whether there is a recital of facts or not, is to follow the rulings of the Supreme Court that in impeachment proceedings, each member is allowed to decide for himself how to appreciate the recital of facts or the evidence. And the best way to do that is by voting later on. So let's proceed and let's not stall anymore. Thank you.
On the alleged misuse of confidential funds. Ginagamit ito ng complainant para ipakita na may misuse o malversation ng confidential funds. Pero mahalagang tandaan na ang paggamit ng confidential funds ay governed ng COA DBM Joint Circular 2015-01. Sa circular na ito, kinikilala na ang confidential funds ay ginagamit para saan? Surveillance activities, intelligence gathering, informant payments. Dahil dito, cash transactions talaga lahat yan. So hindi porket may mga cash transactions o may movement ng funds, ibig sabihin, meron ng malversation o merong korupsyon na nangyayari. Hindi rin pwedeng sabihin, bakit nagastos yung pera in 11 days as alleged? Dahil ang spending, yung bilis ng paggastos, hindi naman automatic, ibig sabihin illegal na. Confidential operations often require immediate payments to sources like informants. Ang mas mahalagang problema sa complaint ay hindi nito pinapakita kung saan napunta ang pera. May personal benefit ba na pumunta o nakuha ang Vice Presidente? Wala sa complaint allegations na tumanggap siya ng bahagi ng pera. Walang nakasaad na may asset bang nabili using that funds. May bank transfer ba papunta sa kanya? Ang reliance ng complaint, kung babasahin natin, mula sa mga COA audit findings. Audit observation memorandum, notice of suspension, notice of disallowance. Pero sa ilalim ng COA audit rules, ano ba yung audit observation memorandum? Preliminary observation lang ito. Ano yung notice of suspension? Pagkulang ang dokumento. Ano yung notice of disallowance? Administrative finding. Pero ito,
Madam
subject
Chair.
to appeal.
Madam Chair, point of order muna.
There's a point of order. Honorable Suntay, let's hear the point of order of the Honorable Abante.
Yung ba pinag-uusapan natin? Ano ko yung ba pinag-uusapan natin?
This is about confidential fund.
Oo.
Yes, this is about confidential
Ang
funds.
pinag-uusapan natin kanina,
Madam Chair,
Kung
this is
tendre
regarding
lang,
confidential
Let's,
funds.
Nagpapaliwanag
let's allow
pa ako
the
eh.
Honorable Abante to finish the point of order.
ang pinag-uusapan natin kanina, kung yung office ng Secretary of Education, saka yung Vice President's office, impeachable offense ba yun?
Madam Chair,
Yung pinag-uusapan yun. Dali lang, nagsasalita pa
Kindly
ako.
wait
eh,
until he
paano, no?
finishes.
No. Pinapaliwanag mo kung paano ginamit ang confidential fund. Hindi pa naman pinag-uusapan yan eh. Pangalawa, paliwanag. Dapat yan pinag-uusapan yan sa impeachment court. Hindi dito. Madam Chair, yun lang.
For the guidance of the Honorable Abante, there are allegations as to misuse of confidential fund in the office of the Department of Education with the Vice President as Secretary of Education. So, it is my humble submission that the manifestation of the Honorable Suntay is aligned to the deliberation on the second ground of the fourth impeachment complaint. The point of order is overruled.
Thank you very much, Madam
The Honorable
Chair.
Suntay may proceed.
And to my good friend, Congressman Abante, if I may continue.
You may. Thank you.
Hindi ito automatic proof ng graph of malversation. Ito ay consistent sa sinabi ng Supreme Court sa Navales versus People at Guillen versus People. GR numbers 219598 at 220108. Kung saan sinabi ng Korte na procedural irregularities on procurement violations do not automatically result in criminal liability or graft. Makikita rin, kagaya ng sinabi ng aking paboritong colleague, Congressman Joel Chua kanina, may nabanggit siya tungkol sa kay Madriaga, affidavit ni Madriaga. May tanong ko lang, nasaan ba si Madriaga? Di ba, nakakulong yata. So we are relying on an affidavit issued by an individual who is currently in prison. Now, sino ba si Madriaga? Meron ba siyang appointment kay BP Sara to prove that he is an employee or an authorized person? Para ma-direct na naman natin yung linkage nung dalawa. Kasi if we rely heavily dun sa affidavit niya, it should not come
Madam
from
Chair.
a polluted force.
Point of
Madam
order.
Chair.
There's another point.
Pag binasa po nyo itong mga nakalagay sa Article 5 regarding unexplained wealth, SALN violations, bank records, and financial forensics, nakalagay lahat sila based on assumptions in preliminary documentary leads, hindi po solid proof. It keeps saying that a forensic review will uncover unexplained assets, but as of now, wala naman napakita yung complaint. Wala man lang attachments na kahit ano to prove itong sinasabi na unexplained wealth. First, the complaint talks about supposed discrepancies in the SALNs, but differences in reporting do not automatically mean someone was dishonest. Hindi po ako abogado, but I'm an economist. Bago po ako naging congressman, alam naman po natin na property values change. Assets can be bought or sold at different times. To immediately label this as pattern of concealment without clear proof of intent is unfair and speculative at best, Madam Chair. Second, kailangan daw po ng forensic financial review to reconcile declared income and assets sa SALN. Identify unexplained inflows or transfers, and trace the disposition of public funds alleged to have been diverted. Hindi ba dapat po trabaho ito ng complainant na mapakita ng ebidensya sa reklamo niya para maging sufficient in substance? Third, the complaint points to large cash disbursements from confidential funds and say these correlate with certain financial movements. But yung mismong complaint admits in paragraph 237 that correlation is not conclusive. Suspicion based only on timing does not prove personal gain. So, mag-i-impeach po tayo ng Vice President na binoto ng 32 million na tao na Pilipino dahil lang sa suspetsa. Third, the mention of intermediaries, third-party accounts, corporations, or relatives is likewise made to sound suspicious. But many lawful transactions are done through representatives or business entities. These arrangements are common and legal. Dapat man lang may katibayan o pruweba na ginagamit ang mga ito para sa mga illegal na gawain. Wala naman pinakita na kahit anong dokumento sa complaint. Fourth, alam natin, Madam Chair, na ang bank secrecy is not absolute, pero hindi natin ito dapat ma-set aside based on unverified claims. Investigation should be based on real and credible evidence, not on fishing expeditions in the hope of finding something. Most importantly, ang impeachment ay isang seryosong constitutional process. Kaya dapat, it should not be based on guesses or on what someone thinks might be discovered later. The burden is on the accusers to prove actual unexplained wealth. The Vice President should not be expected to disprove mere suspicions. At the end of the day, Madam Chair, Article 5 is asking people to assume guilt based on what might be found later, not on what has clearly been proven now. Allegations and suspicions are not the same as evidence. Thank you, Madam Chair.
At dyan nagtatapos ang usapan natin ngayon. Kung may gusto kang idagdag o reaksyon, i-comment mo lang sa baba. Boses mo'y mahalaga. Huwag kalimutang i-like, share, at subscribe para sama-sama nating palakasin ang tinig ng bayan. Hanggang sa susunod, tandaan, ang may alam, may laban!
Awesome!